Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast is giving a voice to our veterans. We have part 2 today with Staff Sergeant retired Matthew Wee. So he's going to go into the rest of his Marine Corps career and then what he's been doing after. But before we get into that, if you like what you're seeing here on this podcast and us getting our veteran voices out for everyone to hear, and you want to help support us, you can always do the patron, become a patron for the podcast. Just go on the website. There's a patron link. Click on that. That's a reoccurring monthly donation. If you don't want to do a reoccurring monthly donation, you just do a one-time donation. There's a place for you to click on that on the website. You can click on that. You can donate however much you want to donate. Anything is appreciated, and it's going to go right back into this podcast and helping us do even better podcasts in the future. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, you can always email me at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. Again, that's thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. And as always, there is merchandise there available. You can click on the merchandise link. There's hats, there's cups, there's shirts, there's all kinds of goodies that you can get while you're on the website there. But go ahead and purchase those things, help spread the word of what our mission here is, and spreading the words, spreading the message of our veterans, and just getting their voices out for all to hear. All right, with that, we have back Staff Sergeant retired Matthew Wee. Matthew, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Andrew. Doing very good.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming back. I'm excited to hear the rest of your story. If I'm not mistaken, we left off, you were in Africa, and at that point you were looking at going somewhere else. But go ahead, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, so being part of that security cooperation, United States AFRICOM in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso was just amazing experience. It was something completely different. Working around in that environment also was, like I said, with the Marine Corps Security Guard, there was many things going on during that time frame. But to bring back a little bit towards like when when I was in Bahrain during said Arab Spring around that time frame, just an idea of what to expect coming in Africa. So while I was there in Bahrain during Arab Spring, we just send Marines to different countries like I think it was Egypt and Syria, but also other places. There was involvement was the Marine Corps security forces also protecting the United States Embassy in Bahrain itself because of the riots and stuff that was going on, and just having that play of making sure that these Marines were being safe, taken care of. It was just something that I definitely remember being a part of that. Definitely played a big role in for myself, just understanding how things work in the embassies, and then also what the Marine Security Forces and Marine Corps Security Guard does. And I could say that, that played myself when I got promoted to Staff Sergeant, being able to get promoted at the U.S. Embassy in Manama, Bahrain. I forgot to cover that last time, but that was just something that covers back into the opportunity in Burkina Faso, which, like I said, played having the opportunity definitely made that decision. But going back to Ouagadougou is, um, like I said, there was a lot going on. Had people coming in from different departments, organizations to help out with security cooperation efforts and training of helping the Burkinabe understand learn languages or different skill sets like intel or training and logistics. We provided different equipment and different things for them to use while there. So I got to play that part of the program manager, understanding foreign policy having that training capacity building and just being that policy person in that environment as the only Marine in the Department of Defense section, working with different people of different backgrounds.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I'm sure very rewarding as well when you're looking back at that.
Yeah.
And just getting to work with all the different agencies, the different services, those types of things. That's an incredible thing. Not everybody gets that opportunity.
No, yeah, it was something completely foreign and weird at the time.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, so at that point, is there any lessons learned, anything in that time frame that you want to cover that maybe we missed?
Yeah. So, just getting back to the story of why I brought up Burkina Faso, Arab Spring, and being the U.S. embassies. So, getting or during, I think it was 2014, in Ouagadougou itself. My leadership was away at a conference in 2014. So, at the time, we had no idea what was going on. We, had an idea that something might happen. So, because the leadership at the time in Ouagadougou had been there, um, has been there, forever. There was, rumblings of what was going on. Brief history about Burkina Faso. Back then they had one of the leaders, Thomas Sankara. He, got assassinated in his when he was in charge, and then there was, growing sentiment that one of his buddies at the time was the president of the country during this time frame, Blaise Compaoré.
Mm.
So, like I said, my leadership was gone. Like I about to pull up something, but and it was around October of 28th. I kind of remember a little bit what was going on. Uh, you know, that country went through what we called an uprising,
Right.
riots, types of happening. So, the reason why I brought back the Burkina Faso, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, the Bahrain, the Arab Spring and that area, because here I go again in another country, going through a riot, a demonstration, uh,
Mm-hmm.
completely weird that we're not used to. Like I said, my leadership was gone at the conference. I was the only one there in my Office of Security Cooperation as the service member. So,
Wow.
staff started going on. Like my major was gone, and some other people were gone too. But it's just, this is a weird time frame for all of us because we didn't know what to do. I, was listening to the local people, making sure what's going on. We had just yeah, it was weird. We didn't know what to do. But
Wow.
I could say, reading the website because I got it open because just notes to help me remember. This thousands upon thousands of people were gathered, different environments. They were going to different places in the city, going after places that was ran by, Compaoré's, President Compaoré's, uh, brother or family. And, you know, during this time, like I said, we take care of service members who come in for different trainings. We had
Right.
3 different groups of people down there at the same time. We had one group doing this, I think it was Intel training, and then one group of contractors, were working there in Ouagadougou in the city that we were helping out because they were helping out during the logistics and stuff like that, and making sure stuff was getting to the Burkinabe for their UN deployments, and then another group were Air Force, uh, LEAP program where there's language and naval airmen program where they're like some officers enlisted. They learn different languages as part of the security cooperation program. So we have these 3 different groups. We had 2 of them that were actually also we had actually another group that was there for different type of training, like different. It was soldiers from a different unit. So one of the hotels they were at, that was nearby where I live, got ransacked. So this was going on. City was there was a lot going on. We were trying to figure things out. Then this happened where I got the phone call from these service members. Uh, you know, I got all this information, delivered it to the the country team, like the ambassador, different organizations or regional security officers, made sure they understand. They were able to, get a team together and go help those, contractors and service members that were at that particular hotel. One of the other groups was at a different hotel, which was fine. But the one hotel that housed those two airmen from the LEAP program, the soldiers and the contractors, which was near my house where I lived at, they were, this RSO was called to help pick them up. So I made sure that they had all the information, was relaying information back and forth to the regional security officers and the local, they wanted to go, pick them up, but also still talking to them, hey, you got to meet them here, blah, blah, find a way out, So they were, I got to see the hotels definitely ransacked, but they were telling me what was going on, just made sure, kept in contact with them. But still, a lot of them were rescued. They were not injured, they were not hurt, but they lost a lot of different, their personal property or some other stuff. I remember one
Right.
time they grabbed one of the protesters grabbed their bags, ransacked it, and then saw the passport and gave the passport back to one of the service members. So it was like this
No
crazy.
kid.
Yeah,
That's crazy. At least they were nice enough to give it back. It was nice of
yeah.
them.
I mean, like I said, this was weird, but my experience, I guess, from back then, being in Iraq, being in Bahrain during that time frame of the Arab Spring, going through all this, I wasn't really uh, in, looking back, I wish I was able to go with them to the hotel, but I knew my place. But I met them at the embassy, made sure they were taken care of. The contractors, weren't able to stay because they had, there was some of them were foreign. So I took the opportunity to, go with them, bring them to my place, which was nearby the embassy, where they stayed there for, a week or two just to get themselves settled. So they're living in my place. So no, I got spoiled. I didn't say that. I can go a little more detail exactly what I got while at the embassy, which would make a lot of people, jealous. But I'll go over that in a little bit. But it's just bringing them back to my place, taking care of them, of these contractors, was just, that you didn't think you would have to do, and they were very appreciative of it because they couldn't, stay at the embassy because certain rules and regulations, but they were able to still be housed, and they definitely appreciated that. While the other service members that were there for the program, they stayed for a little bit. The officer from the lead program, they stayed for a little bit, but went to different countries because this one they didn't know what was going on. We had no idea what was going on. And the same thing with those soldiers who unfortunately had to cancel their trip short. But they were fine. They had some stuff taken from them, but they were doing well. So that was just something that you didn't think about too, just pushing that information to, and then a couple of days later, I had something from my the local, the people that I trust mostly, the local people that I work with. There's something about a different hotel, which didn't turn out to be happening, but I still was able to gather my thoughts, go into the country team meeting, and say this is might happen. So we got to take this stuff seriously. But it was all going through all this and just making sure these people, everybody was taken care of, was insane because you don't expect that while, and what was going on in this country, and it was just a weird and interesting time frame that I always bring up, and always remember what's going on. But it's just just having that ability to just make that decision of
Yeah.
helping these people, and just do it without thinking about it was I think everybody appreciated. And when you look back into it, it was um, a great, good experience. But it could have gone a different way.
Yeah. Very, very true. Very true. Uh, I will say, doing stuff like that, I guarantee you that you are making connections. Uh, that helps with the networking aspect of things. So I am sure you made tons of connections through all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it gave me an understanding with State Department and then contracting companies and some people I can reach back to, because at the time I didn't even think about networking, but now it's the back of my mind. But I wish I did a better job of actually thinking of it that way, but and then like I said, the State Department they only took care of me because coming from Germany where I was living in the barracks, or I mean, Burkina or Bahrain, I was still living out in town. That was my first time living out in town, but being in an environment in a country where I got to live out in town, which was my own place. It was gated. I had a there was a security guard they provide you. I was able to have a gardener that I paid for, a housekeeper and a cook. So that's why
Wow.
I'm sorry, like this is amazing. Like so, yeah, there's so much opportunities and so much things I went through. Like when I look back into them, like I had this opportunity. It was just amazing. It was good to be helping people out in this capacity.
Yeah, very cool. And then how much longer were you there after that whole incident took place?
So about I think less than a year. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so I got to meet my replacement, and then finally, and then I moved on to uh, you know, Cherry Point, North Carolina. So I went back to
Uh-huh.
North Carolina, back to being administrator with Second Marine Air Wing, Marine Attack Squadron, 542, being
Okay.
their administrative chief. So it was something completely different. Working with being again in charge of administrative Marines was a good experience. Something that maybe understand the wing side of the world, and it brought me back to the Marine Corps in a sense.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I mean, you went from division, went to a base, and then of course your travels around the world, and then coming back, you hit the wings. So you're hitting all aspects of the Marine Corps, the MAGTF, if you will. So you're making your rounds. That's good.
So, I mean, this environment was, like I said, completely different. There was a lot of missteps and learning opportunities for me during this environment. This that made me realize that I wanted to try something completely different. It made you think of what I could have done better, but also what I could have done, what I did good too as well. I mean, during this time frame, I was in charge of, two or three other administrative Marines, plus the entire S shops as the only staff NCO within, the S2, the three and the four,
Oh
because
wow.
it's because there was no other staff NCOs in the squadron in the headquarters element other than myself and the sergeant major, and he wasn't going to do all the small things. But they had to worry about the entire squadron. So, but there were
Right.
other NCOs in the maintainer world that they had to worry about their things. But yeah, in terms of like all the S shops, I was the only staff NCO, because there was a gunny, but I was replacing him, so he left, and then
Wow.
and then yeah, and this was in this yeah during the beginning, in 2000 during the deployment. This was but afterwards, we started getting more staff NCOs in the S shops, but it was just a lot of them were either leaving when I got there, and then that was it. But when our deployment to Japan, um, yeah, I was the only staff NCO left there.
Was that
So
on a Mew? You deploy with a Mew?
31st MEU went to Iwakuni. It was amazing place. There was so much going on there. We got to be part of first Marine Air Wing, and then got spent some time in Okinawa. Supposed to be on ship majority of the time, but due to certain situations was the USS Bahamar Shard. It couldn't really the Harrier couldn't really stay on the ship as much because of all the foreign debris. So we got stuck on. Majority of us got stuck, or I say stuck, but we were in Camp Lester in Okinawa, working in Air Force Base, Kadena. So it was still an amazing experience. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a nice base. There's a
yeah.
lot of nice things about Kadena for sure. So that was at what, 7 months on that
Yeah.
Mew?
Look around, yeah, 2016 to 17. It was about close to a year for me
Oh
because I
wow.
got there as an advance and we left. Yeah, so it was around 6 to 8 months. But I was there advance a little bit later than most people.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So I got to be honest, like you look at your career so far, right? And a lot of administrative personnel, uh, they do not get the experience that you have had, right? You've had a deployment young in Iraq, got the experience not just the administrative side, but you're also doing the infantry side, if you will, right? So standing man in the posts and those types of things. And then your experiences overseas in Africa and Germany and those types of things. You have seen a lot of things up to this point in your career that majority of your admin folks, or at least in my experience, haven't really seen. So that's a pretty incredible thing you got going on.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us don't get these opportunities that I got, which, looking back, there's, like I said, there's a few things I could have done better to improve myself and getting promoted farther. But it just there was, but that's all hindsight 2020. But just my career in general, I think just listening to myself and just reading it a little bit. There was a lot that I've done that definitely proud of. But when you're a Marine and you're not getting, and then the bad part is you're not really getting promoted, or things are slow because I didn't do I didn't do drill instructor or recurring duty. But looking back, it's like being a security cooperation in Burkina Faso, uh, training operations in Bahrain, admin in Germany, deploying to Iraq, being in depot color guard or funeral detail, and then other basic ones. I mean, there's it's you never it was just amazing. But this is where a little bit where like a lot of, there was a lot of good things at this last unit, but there's also I could say plenty of bad. There was something definitely bad in the other ones, but this one I kind of remember the most just because, you know, senior staff sergeant at the time, I was trying to get promoted to gunner sergeant, just couldn't get there. I went to the school, they went to, but I had a lot of, a lot of, stuff I probably, I could say I did wrong, but I just still kept moving on. Like I had, a lot of the leadership challenges that made me grow a little bit better. I had, Marine during the deployment, there was, the drug stuff that on in social media, which thank God nothing really happened off of that. But Marine who picked up corporal and then got DUI the next day when we returned. This was after we came back from the deployment, but it was just stuff like that where he picked up. He was good, still a good Marine, and then this is after a while. I remember doing a safety brief, like saying, "Hey, don't do anything stupid." Blah blah blah. The standard things, everything you need to say because we're coming back,
Right.
day off, coming back from our deployment. But gets a great Marine picks up corporal, next day gets a DUI, busted down the last corporal. He's things are going on, but it's just, and even before that, he was like speeding. There were some speeding tickets which I was helping. I got yelled at a few times because like, how would I know about someone's speeding ticket? Or,
Yeah, usually the sergeant major is going to hear about it before anybody else does because he gets the blotter, from the from out in town or whatever it comes in.
I mean, yeah, then I had one Marine who, I mean, good Marine, but just not really good at his job. I mean,
Mm.
like I said, I could have done better of making sure you go somewhere else different or being a little more aggressive. Was my sergeant major in terms of personnel decisions in the S1 shop. Then I got another Marine come from the schoolhouse. She came overweight, so there was a lot of all these issues going on where I couldn't control, and then having leadership that was not administrators over me, but like I said, I really reflecting, yeah, there was stuff I could have done better. Knowing now, I focus more on certain things, but there's something that was way out of my control. My personality type, because I'm not really a loud person. I'm sure you know this, but I, very conscious of trying to help people and also being that. But I enjoyed being a Marine, but still pushing forward, moving forward regardless of even though I know I couldn't get past staff sergeant, but I still loved what I was doing, and that made me
Yeah,
decide the next steps for my career after being in this this environment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I wouldn't take it as a knock or anything. I mean, you look at your career and all the things that you've done, man. I haven't done as much stuff as you've done for sure. And it's incredible. So don't think that, your career is short lived, if you will, because you've definitely done a lot of great stuff and been in a lot of key positions and key places, kind of at the right time, right place type of deal.
Yeah, and that's something I've been growing too, just throughout, which I can get more of during this story. But it was just I'm definitely still learning that, and I just say all this just to doesn't matter what rank you are, as just matters what you do. I mean, which the
Very
reason
true.
why I made that decision, to get out of my MLS again and become a foreign area staff non-commissioned officer, which helped me transition to another billet.
Yeah, yeah. And so after your time there at the mall, that's what you did. You went. Um, what did you call it? Sorry.
The so it was the foreign area staff non-commissioned officer program.
Okay, I got you. And then how was that for you? Like, what all types of things did you do with that?
Yeah, so after leaving, North Carolina, I went to the Virginia, the Pentagon, where I got training on the foreign area staff affiliate program, where I got specialties on Europe and Africa. I got to learn French, because I had that background in Burkina Faso. So that definitely played a part of me, being selected for Africa. And then, of course, I had the European region, just being in Germany and just being in the environment. But it was
Right.
something completely, I mean, not new to me because of that experience in Bahrain and that experience in Burkina Faso. But just going back to that, getting that training there, in in the Pentagon, going through training in the Foreign Service Institute, State Department, being able to go to Senegal for 2 months, learning French there and visiting, learning different languages and cultures while in Senegal, which was just an amazing experience. But that was during my training phase in the Pentagon, and but after all that training, after all everything there, I had the opportunity to head down to Marine Corps Security Cooperation Group in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So that was my final duty station where I was the Europe and Africa region experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. And what all types of things did you do while you were here with Security Cooperation Group?
Yeah, so I got to utilize my security cooperation like experience. I got to help, different crisis or different planning and crisis, policy development, security analysis, doing different defense cooperation and capacity building efforts. I got to help train Marines that are deploying to Africa in
Right.
the Marine Corps mission in that time frame for that. So that was nice to use my experience uh, in that as well. But this is like May of 2019 when I guess it was definitely learning everything. I got to travel to Djibouti, Africa, again back to to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for a few trainings there and there, but and then went through a few trainings myself, but still was able to utilize my expertise even as an administrator, but also in the Europe and Africa regions as a staff non-commissioned officer in a small team where I got to work with many different people, different MOSs, and just different lives, and then just having that idea of how to do this because of just um, my experiences in Bahrain and Burkina Faso and everything else led up to this moment where it just let me do or let me understand and be successful in this environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the when you're looking at your experiences, right, all the things that you have done through your career, the Marine Corps got it right. Like
Yeah,
you look at where they placed you, security cooperation group here. I mean that was like the perfect place, and I'm sure you probably requested to do it. But still the Marine Corps said, hey, yeah, we're going to let you do it, whatever. So yeah, perfect fit, man. And that's exactly what you needed to do.
Correct. Yeah, it was a great just being around and being around, other Marines again, and made me appreciate, other people as well, and maybe, be around one to be a little bit longer because I got to actually work with, different type of people that were that I definitely got along with. I mean, just I enjoyed my time in Cherry Point, North Carolina, but there was a lot of different things that I just did not agree with or was not going too well for me. But it's just
Yeah.
all in all, it was a great time. And then of course, COVID hits. So it was my last this and then I couldn't stay any a little bit longer. So I had to, because of I couldn't at this time I couldn't get promoted to, the gunner sergeant, and then 20 years was coming up very quickly. But this was a great way to end my Marine Corps career in this entire in doing this. So it was being back in Virginia Beach and just around this area where I got to travel. But unfortunately, sometimes the COVID environment happened during that time frame.
Yeah, very true. So, and then you retired from here, Virginia Beach Security Cooperation Group. And then at that point, I'm assuming because you've gone on and done some great things since. So you utilize your connections that you had throughout your Marine Corps experience to help, I guess, navigate where you wanted to go next. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So I was able to do different after before my retirement, I was able to do skill-based programs where I got to work around or work with an organization called sales platoon, and then where I got to have the administrative, do the administrative business development fellow, where I got to work with an organization that was created by a Marine Corps veteran, where I got to learn how to do many different business development stuff like sales support, meeting coordination, databases, marketing was the actual training. So I got to learn all this stuff with different people from different backgrounds of veterans and transitioning service members. All of this was online because of the time frame. It was working with hiring our heroes to do this corporate fellowship program of sales platoon was amazing. But I also did another one too, kind of at the oops, sorry, kind of at the same time. But it was the hire vets now, veterans employment, or I got to help out as a veterans employment operations fellow. So I got to work in
Oh,
Hampton Roads Workforce Council and help out with different veterans issues at the time. So that, veterans outreach, trying to help out with different workshops. But the great thing about, the sales platoon being, online, and this one, I was able to do multitask and do both just because I wanted to learn exactly how things work. So both of those organizations, gave me, opportunity to do one thing virtually and one thing to do in person, working with all of them with veterans in different capacities.
yeah, that's really cool. Uh, and how long did you do the skill bridge?
I did it. So it was a combination of, you know, I did it while I was on, terminal leave, and also the PDAD because the timing wasn't right, or I didn't do everything the way I needed to be done because I was still wrapped up in trying to stay in. But I had to, make myself, realize, hey, you got to retire. You can't, there's you're not able to pick up the next rank, so you got to push things. But I was around 2 to 3 months.
Oh, wow. That's really good. And I imagine that helped set you up for success once you got out. I mean, did you transition into a position with those organizations at that point, or did you go in a completely new direction?
I kind of went in a different direction because I was, researching different programs. Like, I have at this time too, I was around, learning about veterati, vets to industry, and many different organizations that I can list a little bit too. There's plenty of them that I've been around. Ended up working with this organization called Hill Vets, where I got to in the DC area where I got to be a Hillvitz House Fellow in the Congressional World.
Very cool. How was that? Like, what types of things did you do with that?
Yeah, I got to, I did Veterans Affairs issues and national security. Was a member from a congressional member in the U.S. House of Representatives. It was just amazing being part of the legislation process to, helping out with constituency services, advocacy and outreach, working with the different committees and have, different bipartisan collaboration and trying to, do many different things and trying to learn what the processes are in the United States House of Representatives. It was just definitely um, something that I would gravitate towards too because of transitioning during the COVID era where a lot of stuff was online. I didn't really know what's going on, but working with a lot of different organizations to get myself out there, I would just follow the goals I wanted to do, and got myself in doing this congressional fellowship.
Wow. Man, it sounds awesome. That whole aspect of kind of what the government does and the ins and outs of the interactions and stuff that happen up there. For one, I don't know much about it, but I would say the majority of the American people do not know a lot about that. So getting that opportunity to go up there is freaking fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So after you did the fellowship and all that type of stuff, where did you go? What did you do at that point?
So, I was still on the fellowship, and then, during all the stuff, like just leveraging different networking opportunities, like I said, was, Fedster Industry, and then there's many more, like, I did 4Block before that, Soldier Sign Line, Patriot Path, Acting Out. There's so many of them, but to go after that, I was able to leverage one of my networks. During the fellowship, I wanted to, find part-time opportunities, and I was able to become an usher at Capital One Arena doing stuff there, which was fun. But also,
Nice.
and also work with a company called Human Domain Solutions, where I was supporting surveillance role playing, and this will come up to a big play. But yeah, those two companies help me enjoy different things, learning how up Capital One Arena, usher, just being part of a team environment again, working at the arenas and just doing different things like crowd management, the
Mm-hmm.
vet, being enjoying either the games, make sure people were doing stuff correctly there, learning the rules during the COVID era, and I mean it was crazy, but then the surveillance role playing where just walking around, being adaptive role playing, realistic scenarios, and just trying to help people prepare themselves for certain situations. Just being that contractor, it was definitely an experience. And that contracting company, Human Domains Solutions, is where I got my job um, as a senior event program planner, just using the networking aspect because the owner, when I was doing I was able to get that position because he had a contract from that in Human Domain Solutions. So it was just something utilizing your networks allowed me to get coming from the Hill. So became a contractor for about a year and some change.
Wow. I, and networking is such a huge thing. And I know that a lot of veterans, they're not big into it or whatever. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to do stuff. But I would say go out and network. You talk to as many people as you possibly can. Somebody out there knows somebody that or knows something and is going to be able to point you in the right direction. But it's all about making those friends and those types of things and having a good network. So you have it down pat, man. You got it. So at this point, so you said you did that for like a year and a half?
Correct. Yeah. So I started that like after in August of 22 because I was on the Hill for about a year, from October 21 to 22. But this is where I did a lot of program planning, event planning, like was a Ted Stevens Center for Arctic Security Studies, where I got to work in the Arctic environment. But my experience working in security cooperation, assistance, and and then having administrative skills and those other things from my past and my experiences definitely played a big role where I was able to help a new organization, still come up there. We did many different events online, like this Arctic Regional or Security Orientation course, teaching different people about the Arctic. I got to go to Alaska a few times into Anchorage, and then also into Utqiagvik, O'Bara, the most northern point. We did different events with
Oh, wow.
attaches from different countries. So I got to put that stuff together. Then one of my biggest planning events was something we did in Nuuk, Greenland. We had a event we called the North American Arctic Security Workshop, which was an amazing experience because I got to build an event from the ground up. We didn't know what was, well, I didn't really, I did I did all the logistical stuff, with help from everybody else. But I did, a lot of stuff was done through, Zoom and Teams because I was working remotely in Washington, D.C. So everything was done, through Zoom, Teams, email, phone calls, to build this event that we had like hundreds of people go to, and it was in a foreign country. So that was, one of my best experiences in that organization, other than which was, it was a great time. But then I also got to experience while in the same contract working for the Office of Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, where I was a Arctic policy and security
Oh,
liaison.
wow.
So I got try to help
No
work with
kidding.
different organizations.
Wow. Man, you have got one wild freaking ride. I'm telling you, it's incredible. Getting to go to Alaska, getting to go up the northernmost point up there. That's some pretty iconic stuff, man. You have done some amazing things. So, are you still working with the same group, or are you working somewhere else now?
Yeah, so after about a year, I was, wanted, different challenges and just enjoyed what I was working at. I enjoyed the company, Human Domain Solution. I enjoyed the Ted Stevens Center, but still wanted to try something different. I liked the aspects of, the federal employment, so I was working towards that. Took a lot of different classes, got help from, Mrs. Hope White, who does a great job of, of federal services. I worked learning different things, did a lot of resume building myself, trying to put everything together. Always had an idea what I wanted to do around, like, I think it was around June-ish timeframe, 2023. I got an email about, opportunity for an interview with the organization, for the Department of State, or company organization I'm working at now. Doing foreign affairs officer. So on June, on my birthday, June, had to, hop on the Teams call to do at the Pentagon, trying to, do an interview. Couldn't get on Teams. I didn't want to do it in my office because it's just, I had to answer questions. So I was going to be speaking, a lot of noise. So I went to the center courtyard. If you've ever been to the Pentagon, there's only certain spots where you can go, that have, good Wi-Fi or, cell access. So I couldn't even hop on the Teams,
Right. Yeah.
panicking. I was emailing the person, calling. I was able to hop on the phone number on the Teams call. They were still there, explain my situation. They were, very supportive. But did my interview, um, which was crazy because, I was somewhat nervous because I was late. I was, panicking, but I was able to answer all the questions necessary, be good, do what was necessary in that interview, and just they liked me. So, they asked for references, got the references. They were, sending me emails about this was going to happening next. Come to find out there were issues in Congress because of funding issues and whatever. So, that was going on. I was still as my organization, doing, also my company, doing my job there. This was going on. I kept reaching back and all that, back constantly, just trying to figure out what was going on. Still applying for different positions. Learning how, still continuing to get better interviewing, still doing different organizations, just trying to get myself a little better. And then come around, let's say, November timeframe in 2023, they reached back to me and they said, "Hey, we want to offer you the tentative offer to work for the Department of State as a foreign affairs officer with the Bureau of Political Military Affairs, Regional Security and Arms Transfer was the third party transfer team." So definitely accepted that. And then they're like,
Wow.
it's going to take a while, blah blah blah. There's going to be, you got all these paperwork, so I got to fill out all this paperwork. It's going to take a while of clearances. Come December timeframe, early December, all of a sudden I got the final job offer. I'm like, this is insane. Like this has progressed quickly.
Yeah, but that's a good thing though.
Oh yeah. So yeah,
And so you've basically, once you got the job offer in December, that's at that point you transitioned into that, and that's what you've been doing.
yeah. So still stayed a little bit longer than with my company just to give it a transition of what's going on, but making sure everything's done perfectly. But I was able to help them find someone to take my old spot, which you know you could say this is coincidence. I was talking to one of my friends who the one that introduced me on Veterati to the Hillvitz program. So this goes all the way back to the Hillvitz program because
Oh wow.
she was on there doing a different type of program where it was like I think it was called lead or leadership program, and I was doing the Hillvitz House Fellowship. Um, I introduced her to my former position with Human Domain Solutions. She was able to do the interview. Of course, there were other people there. I didn't really, get involved in that much of the hiring process because I knew that person, and she was able to get that position. So it's just coincidence, how things work, and help veterans helping veterans or whatever stuff like that, where I was able to have somebody I know take this position that I know they'd be work because they're not the job they were at before. So it was just small world when it came to stuff like that, and just like I said, being around different organizations that I still volunteer with to this day. That
Yeah.
is where I'm at.
The it's you said veterans helping veterans, which is in my opinion is incredibly important, especially a lot of veterans have a hard time in transitioning, those types of things. So if you can reach out, talk to a veteran, and find somebody to be able to help you through those transitions is a great thing. And I know we were talking earlier, you actually were sitting doing a Zoom meeting or whatever earlier today. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the individual you were talking about, but where you guys talk about different things. And I think it's a fantastic thing that you have going on. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I can go back to just like I said, Veterati, the organization that helps you connect to veterans or other people to be a mentor of providing guidance to you for certain things. That's what helped me out. That's where I got understood, and doing research and other things, different organizations. I got involved learning through like 4Block, an organization that helped me understand how different opportunities in the corporate world, and just provided a lot of guidance. And then the one I work currently right now with, Vets to Industry, an organization that provides resources in a combined area where the owner, a veteran himself, who wanted saw what was going on and trying to prevent prior service members from committing suicide or and just like that. But he wanted to provide resources to everybody. In the general, that's what Cayman's Vets Industry does. So they do monthly, networking events that I was going to a lot throughout my transition time. So learning, that's how I got involved and learned about Hope White, who does federal resumes, but also continue to learn about different organizations like Soldiers to Sideline, Patriots Path, Act Now, Veterans Transition Support. I did this career skills program, so PM Shift Career. But I'm listing all these organizations. I can go and definitely go more, but I decided to, take these opportunities. Like there's more like, Vet to CEO, Warrior Rising, still serving veterans, great organization. I learned through Vets to Industry that, I learned the different skills, there's 50 strong. Um, Another one was, of course, Marine for Life. For those who are in the Marine Corps, Hiring Heroes USA, Hiring Our Heroes, CalTAP Reboot Program that's in California. And then they utilize, USO, there's Vets 2PM, Paralyzed Veterans America, Wounded Warrior Project, the Key Mentor Group, which, I'm also learning, volunteers because I want to help out with that. Pro Vet Leadership Academy, Travis Manion Foundation is a good one. He was a Marine who unfortunately passed away during his deployment to Iraq. And I don't know if you remember, he was part of a, recon battalion. So I think we were there at the time. So just something that
Yeah.
might mind. And then there's, Veteran Employment Transition, Team RWB. They're good, sports organization, Emerging Vets and Vet Players, another one. You know, Generator, Leader Transition to a good organization that helps veterans different skill sets, learning, from trying to go from we to me. Onward Opportunity, if you heard about that one, and Operation Uniformed Organization based in Florida. And I don't know if I said Soldiers of Sideline, but it's all these organizations that I listed. I'm sure there's a lot more that I went through that, I learned about because I wanted, from networking, from different, different things, but I also wanted to get better that other than just, traditional transition assistance programs and all that stuff now is a little bit better than it was. But I mean, I went through the transition program in 2020, 2021 on WebEx. By the time I went back to in person, I was already leaving and I just was already doing these, but just utilize that transition program, but research other programs that point you in the right direction. And then we could, talk about, one I went was just coming from was Alfredo's Coffee House, which was born from networking through, Veterati and Vets to Industry. So, but that organization, that group, Alfredo's Coffee House, it's meets Sundays, around 12 Eastern time frame. But it just goes to go over different topics, just different veterans, transitioning service members, family members, or people, just sharing stories or different resources of what veterans or people can expect, and just go over different things. But a lot of all these networking, a lot of all these opportunities that I got was through this networking. Even though I am somebody who is quiet, somebody who likes to do things a different way, but I was able to give them back by still volunteering, was Vets to Industry, or helping out Mrs. Hope White in her federal resume classes, because definitely learning, and then working with the Key Mentor Group, and then just being around different veterans in Travis Manion Foundation, RWB, and all these other ones. I mean, just but it's just all about the networking and getting yourself out there. That's pretty much all I can say. But it's what helped me, continue to move forward and still continue to help out veterans. Because I still, some of these I'm doing as event program planner, or events director, or certain things where I can help out in a way that I'm used to.
Right. Yeah, and it's fantastic, man. I'm gonna have to have you and whoever else you think would be good to come on to talk about the meetings that you guys have on the Zoom, and just kind of explain that, and kind of go in more detail about all the different organizations and different things that you guys got going on, and organizations that you work with. That's absolutely incredible. Veterans helping veterans. I love it. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with today, before we wrap all this stuff up? Maybe words of wisdom, or a funny story, or whatever it is that you want to do. This is your time to kind of say whatever it is you'd like to say.
No, well, what I could say is like, yeah, there's a lot going on, throughout my career, and a lot of stuff that I'm still, there's a lot of stuff that I wish to happen, that, you think about constantly, but in your mind, which you could have done better, what you could have done better. But it's what I can say though is, as long as having that resilience, having that ability to, find ways of, going through, your options. Like I always, like having a clear cut path of where I wanted to be, what I was always trying to do. If I saw roadblocks, I would always find ways to go around it to learn different things, but also find ways to get where I wanted to be. I wanted this, being a foreign affairs officer in State Department for a long time since, I left that, seeing it in Bahrain, seeing it, being around that, and then being around it constantly in Burkina Faso, you know, but my goal, you always go, after your goal, but if there's, always learn from your mistakes, but never, don't settle for what's going on. Just find ways to be better, to, network. It doesn't matter who you are and how you do things. Like I am very quiet, very, very, trying to get things done, but, don't like being in the limelight as much. And I'm doing, doing this podcast, speaking, with my friend, and just, putting myself out there, volunteering with different organizations, and just trying to give my best. But still, I like to, even in person, I like to go stuff in person. I like to be around that more so than the virtual environment. But all I could say is just, go for your dreams. Understand that, yeah, there'll be roadblocks, but there's always ways to fix things, to go around. There's always opportunities that are better than the ones that you're at. Just, you know, help out other people. It just don't have to be veterans. Help out anybody that you can, if you can, and you have the, your ability to, just understand your resources, understand what you have as a veteran, transitioning service member, a family member, a civilian, whatever. Understand all your resources you have, because there's a lot out there. And if you don't understand those resources, you're not going to get where you need to be. So all I could say is just, you know, utilize those resources, and then, it will definitely help you out. And if you need anything, I definitely help you guys out as much as I can to my best of my ability, because that's something that I believe in wholeheartedly. It's just that commitment to continue to serve. It's something you cannot get rid of, no matter what, if you did 1 or 2 years or
Yeah,
20.
very true. Man, those really are words of wisdom. Hey, I thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And I know there's a lot of folks out there that's going to get a lot from all the different things that you're talking about. I'll be sure that we put something in there. That way people can reach out to those organizations. I will have you and whoever it is you feel is would like to come on or whatever and talk about some of this opportunities for people. I think it's great. Veterans helping veterans. But yeah, thank you for coming on, man. Great story. You've gone and done some amazing things in your life and your career. And it's just exciting hearing all about it. But thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for, allowing me to be on this, and, and it was great to be at your retirement ceremony and be around friends again that haven't seen in a while. And then, yeah, even if you haven't talked to anybody in a while, we still have those stories, and we're still friends no matter what, because it's something you can't give up. But
That's right.
appreciate the opportunity, to be around there too as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you hit a nail on the head right there. Once you have made those friends, they're lifelong friends. And it's just an amazing thing. Reach out to your friends; they're there. And once you reconnect, it's like no time has passed, and it's an amazing thing. So, but hey, I appreciate you being on. For all the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to Matthew's story. If you're thinking about hurting yourself, you're having a rough go, and you need some help, and you need some assistance, you can always dial 988, press option 1. Again, that's 988, press option 1. They'll be able to put you in contact with somebody. They'll be able to help you through whatever situation that you're in. If you don't feel like talking on the phone, you can always send a text message, 838-255. Again, that's 838-255. They'll be able to put you in contact with whoever it is that you need. And even if you don't feel comfortable doing that and you just want to chat online, if you go to veteranscrisisline.net, again, that's veteranscrisisline.net, you can hit the chat icon. You'll be able to get on there, chat with somebody. They'll be able to help you out. But I would tell you, you matter to me. You matter to Matthew. You matter to all the other veterans out there. So one veteran's life loss is one too many. So please take care of yourself. When you need assistance, you need help, please reach out for it. All right. With that, Again, thanks for tuning in and stay motivated. Change your socks.